So one of the things that we like to talk about is really understanding your guest avatar. And there's no better way to do that than to actually walk in their shoes, to actually go through what they're doing. And this is what we're going to be talking about on today's podcast. It is really understanding your target avatar and really niching down, depending on if you're US or European. And to do that, we've got a special guest with us today who we're going to go behind the host today on the Boostly podcast and really dive into her business and how she really successfully understands her niche and the guests and what they need when they come stay in her properties. So if this is the first time you've listened to the Boostly podcast, this is the podcast that gives hosts the tools, the tactics, the trainings, and most importantly, the confidence to go out there and get more direct bookings. My name's Liam Carolan. I'm Mark Simpson's co-host. And today we have Alysia Clements. She's from Colorado Furnished Rentals.com. She's the co-owner, and I'm really eager to find out really how she niches down into her guests and some of the journey that she's gone on. So welcome along. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So first question, can you introduce your business and let us know why you have Colorado Furnished Rentals? How did this idea come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started Colorado Furnished Rentals about 3 years ago, and we focus on people who are relocating to Colorado. So our client avatar are people who are moving to the area, and we provide the service where they can stay in one of our beautifully furnished rentals. We usually specialize in 3 beds, 2 baths, fully fenced in backyard, and we're pet friendly. So if they have dogs or things like that, they can stay there, and they can try before they buy or live like a local and stay in one of our properties, try out one of the cities, see if they like it before they, decide to buy or sign a lease or anything like that. And it came from a necessity that we needed back when my family moved to Colorado about 8 years ago. This service wasn't provided back then. And so it was either sign a 1-year lease or stay in a really expensive hotel, which for a family of 4 with 2 dogs was just not ideal, very cramped. And so we ended up having to buy a camper and stay in a camper. It was only supposed to be for 3 months. Ended up being 18 months just because we couldn't compete in the housing market at the time. We couldn't bring $50,000 cash over asking, which is what the market was demanding back then.
Are all your properties based in like one city, or are they spread out? How does this work for your business?
Yeah, so we strategically spread them out all over northern Colorado. So we have some all the way down Fort Collins up to Denver, and even some a little bit past Denver, like southern Denver area. And we put them, so we have 30 properties, and we put them in different cities so people can decide, like, living in Fort Collins is a lot different than living in downtown Denver or even Boulder. And so or maybe you want to try out a small town. So there's Birthday, Colorado. We have a few there. And so there's just so many, like, it's all in Colorado, but there's so many different experiences, and just kind of, it's nice to have them spread out so that people can like stay in downtown Denver for a month. They can try out Boulder for a month. They can see which area suits their lifestyle the best.
What amenities attract your ideal guests? What would you say? What is the reason that they're booking with you as opposed to other properties?
So we focus on all of our properties are 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. They have, fully stocked kitchen, and then we make sure that there's a fully fenced in backyard, and we're pet friendly. So, a lot of times our ideal clients are families or couples who are moving to the area. They have pets. There's not a lot of rentals out there that are pet friendly. And so that's definitely kind of our niche, because we have 2 dogs. We moved with 2 dogs. That was one of the reasons why it was so hard for us moving here, because, no one wanted to lease to us, or Airbnbs weren't pet friendly, or, things like that. So I'd say definitely being pet friendly, having a fully fenced in backyard for their dogs is super, it sets us apart from other Airbnbs for sure.
Looking back, is there anything that you do that you'd go back to yourself back in the early days and say, hey, we should have done this instead? What advice would you have for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we grew pretty fast. So we started our first Airbnb and then had that for about a year. Then we went to 3. And then in the last 15 months, we went from 3 to 30. So we kind of exploded all of a sudden. And we didn't have the systems in place ahead of time before we exploded. So we didn't have automation systems set up. We weren't running like a big business because we only had 3 Airbnbs. We didn't have to run like a big business. And then once we exploded, because it was we were trying to expand, but not that fast. And so once we exploded, all of our time was spent managing the properties, guest communications, fixing things when the properties would break. Because when you have 30 properties, something's always breaking. A guest always needs something. And so we got spread thin really fast, and we were wearing a lot of hats. There was even times where we were the cleaners for all of these properties. Like, we didn't have a cleaning crew. It was insane. And so if you're looking to expand, make sure you have all these systems in place beforehand, because it's a lot harder to put all the, set aside time to put all these systems in place when you're already huge. Like, it's really hard. It would have been a lot easier when we had more time freedom to set up all these, systems and processes, and implement or integrate tech and all that stuff. And then, back when we had 3 properties versus now we have 30, and it's kind of hard to go back and set all that stuff up. So definitely get set up correctly when you first start out. Don't do it later.
What systems, processes, or tech would you say that you utilize the most in your business? What has been successful for you?
So the biggest thing for us was finding reliable cleaners and cleaning crews and someone who will always show up. And that was a big problem for us for a long time, actually probably until the last 6 months. And what changed that for us was TurnoverB&B. And so we put all of our properties on there, synced all of our calendars. It was a little bit of a hassle to set up because you have to find your cleaners. They send you bids, and then you got to talk with them and try them out, see if they do a good job. But what's really nice about it is they come with reviews. So it's kind of like how the Airbnb platform works. Your guests come with reviews. Well, these cleaners come with reviews. So if they don't have 5-star reviews, obviously you're not going to hire them for the project. And they're trained specifically for Airbnbs because that's their business and what they do. And so once we implemented that was amazing, because now we don't have to touch it. We don't have to worry about the cleaning schedule. Everything is automated. We can, message our cleaners right from the app, and they accept projects as they come on. And, since the calendars are synced, it shows when guests are checking out, checking in. And, it also has an area where the cleaners can tell us what supplies are needed, if there's any problems, stained sheets, stained rugs, anything like that. And so that saved us so much time. So that was the first one. And then the second one was PriceLabs. So not having to adjust our prices all the time, because we were doing that all manually ourselves. And so then we implemented PriceLabs. And, that adjusts the price based on the demand in the area for all 30 of our Airbnbs. And that we were actually, so through the winter, we were having a little bit of a slowdown and places weren't booking as much. But as soon as we implemented PriceLabs and they started adjusting the prices more often and more competitive pricing, then we started seeing an increase in booking. So that was great as well. And then awning.com is what we have been using to find where successful properties will be and to kind of analyze the numbers. And because we work with a lot of investors, we specialize in helping investors purchase high performing Airbnbs. And then we also help them manage it too once they purchase the property. And so we use Awning to analyze all the numbers and show them how, what they can expect.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Bruce Lee podcast. Bruce Lee like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.